Good morning, everyone. Hopefully, everyone is staying safe inside homes, wearing masks, and staying away from COVID. I hope everyone in your family is also right. But I'm back making some contender content. Jojo is very anxious for some contender content, and I'm stepping in. I have done it in a little bit of haste, so I'll try my best to give as much information as possible. I was not able to, unfortunately, watch all the games, but I was able to watch a couple of the games. So there are sometimes more analysis, sometimes less analysis, but I try my best going through all the games quickly through Dotabuff, through the streams and stuff like that. And thanks for all the casters who have covered all the games even after the precast or postcast, so that I can gather the information much more faster. So kudos to that. So in this content video, we will be covering over week 1, week 2, and the predictions of week 3. So we will be going in a bit of a speed. So try to keep up. I will be leaving the timestamps of where your team has played against the other team. I might only keep the left hand side team name so that there's not much clutter in that video bar. It should be right under here somewhere at the bottom scroll. We should be telling you it should be highlighted, and you can just skip over to your team name or your opponent's team name, and you can watch what I have to say for that particular week. If you don't know who I am, I'm Daddy Odin. I am a content creator as well as AD2L Contenders player. I will not be covering over my team Grin Reavers in these content videos because I have some personal information that I know and I don't want to spoil it or give it away any of our strats, unfortunately. And I want my captain to be mad at me. So that is one team I will be skipping, and I also don't want to inject any kind of bias into these videos, and I want to keep it as clear as possible. If you ever want to catch me live, I stream at twitch.tv/OdinTasty. The link should be showing somewhere in the screen right now. I don't have a screen schedule. I will try to get one soon, but I cast games. So if you guys ever want me to cast a game due to a reschedule, or you want me to cast it after the game has happened, please do DM me and I will be happy to cast it. Now let us talk about week 1. We have the first game of the series, week 1, between Marytown Lincoln versus Sabers, or Wharton based Sabers. They have joined a new org this season. The series went 1-1. I think Marytown Lincoln did a really good job game 1. They took their advantage and they went with it with the Phantom Assassin making that deso and just kept going. I think there were a couple of mistakes made by both teams in both the games. Thanks for Lick the Cow for casting the game so that I couldn't get my notes, and I was actually watching it as well live while he was casting it. I think what the mistake both teams made was that both teams actually did the same mistake, leading them to lose in each of the games. Saber picked the Juggernaut, who went fight mode but really wasn't able to fight and was forced into this farming route. I think if he had went a Battle Fury on the Juggernaut, he would have had a much more advantage trying to fight into this Phantom Assassin Viper. I think he thought that he had to be coming online very early on to fight this Viper Juggernaut, Viper Phantom Assassin and Necrophos. But I think in the late run, when it went into the mid game and into that 30-minute mark, this Juggernaut only had 2 items and he wasn't able to match up to the damage that was being dealt by the Phantom Assassin. But Marytown Lincoln did a really good job in game 1, where they constantly kept pressuring the side of Sabers. They constantly kept getting on the Storm Spirit, who went for the Bloodstone and did not have enough space or farm to get to his BKB, so that he was constantly getting chain stun and getting killed by this Necrophos Phantom Assassin. Coming into game 2, Marytown Lincoln did the similar mistake that Sabers did on the Juggernaut. The Phantom Assassin didn't really have any kind of other cores he could benefit on going this Deso build. He had a Doom. The Phantom Assassin did not have the heroes like Viper and Necro playing in the game this time, so that they can constantly go into the pressure. They had a Doom this game, which needed some time to get online, and I think if Phantom Assassin went for the Battle Fury build, he would have had a much more easier time farming and playing against this route. I think there was one other series where the Phantom Assassin did make a Battle Fury with the boots, with going power threads into Battle Fury into a Deso, and he made the same timing of getting that 17 to 18 minute Desolator, which is normally when you get the Desolator even if you go for the full-on Desert Rush. I think a lot of Phantom Assassins need to be going this greedier farm route and just come online at 20 minutes, and I think they will have a much more easier time of winning these games. Next series we have is FOTP versus Go5. It's kind of sad to hear that Go5 is actually not playing Contenders division. I think the players are have lost their motivation, or one or two players lost their motivation, and they probably thought that there's odd number of people in the league, so Seth probably decided that removing their own team would make it an even bracket or even number of teams in the division, so that we don't need to give bye weeks to any of the teams. But let's go into the game. FOTP versus Go5. Game 1 went to FOTP. I think FOTP's strategy is honestly to delay these games as much as possible, take it to the late game, and hope that Red Seal is able to close the game for them. And I think they, even in week 2, they played a game which went for over 1 hour, both the games. The casters were definitely exhausted after that series, week 2 of FOTP versus Sabers. Game 1 was actually quite surprising for me. I went and watched it bit by bit, not fully watched it. I zoomed through it to get some clips and stuff like that, and I watched bits here and there. And it was quite surprising. Go5 actually had a super lead. Storm Spirit, played by Scotty, was out of control, and I was actually surprised that FOTP won the game. I think there was two unfortunate engagements that happened where Go5 fought against FOTP, but the Phantom Assassin on FOTP was still getting way too strong after those two fights, and he was just able to close the game. And game 2, which was also another long game, it was back and forth, I think so. It was a very evenly matched up draft coming from both teams. They were fighting constantly, and it was going in advantage of FOTP sometimes and advantage of Go5. And coming late game, they just didn't have any more heroes left to fight against the Go5, and Go5 were able to get the victory. They used all their buybacks. 3 diebacks happened on the side of FOTP. They only had the Medusa Magnus, and they weren't able to hold the high ground against Go5. Also, a kind of interesting thing that I noticed in this game was FOTP actually banned out the Phantom Assassin. I'm not sure if they weren't planning on picking the Magnus and they suddenly thought a Magnus would be nice, or something like that happened. Mag PA combo really strong. We will be seeing that covered in the later on series. I believe someone did that as a pause by Magnus Phantom Assassin, where they won. I think it was Wasted.Y, if I'm not mistaken. Let's go on to the next series. We have WSS Cobalt versus Petting Zoo Rejects. I'm really happy that WSS Cobalt were able to find really 2 good players. They lost 2 players, Gambit and Dill, and they found a mid laner and off laner, and I think their support is also new. I'm not sure. I believe I saw his name somewhere. Maybe he was a participant in the WSS organization or something like that. But they came with the strange strength they had in season 29. They picked a Zeus, but yeah, WSS Cobalt still standing really strong. They don't have their rivals Pot Agreed, unfortunately. They have went to intermediate. Hopefully they're having a better time or having a fun time in intermediate. But let's go into the series. I'm not sure why Ember offlane was picked by Petting Zoo Reject. I looked at it very hard. I'm not sure why this happened. I thought maybe it was a bug in Dota buff, but I went and watched in the game. It was also an offlane Ember. I'm not really sure why that was picked in that way. I mean, DK does get countered a bit by Razor safe lane, which was picked by Cobalt, but Zeus is probably much more of a stronger counter to Dragon Knight, who gets absolutely nuked down by the second spell of Zeus if he does go for that spell, and he did. And Zeus just popped out for this game for Cobalt, and they took game 1. On game 2, I think it was again a similar outdraft. I think the WS Cobalt are doing such a really good job of picking these drafts. They're baiting these picks. They picked the Zeus, and PZR thought it was going to be mid Zeus again, and they went on to ban 2 supports, and they flexed the Zeus into a pause 4, and essentially they had a free pick for their mid. I think PZR also did not have any answer for this DK, did not make any Spirit Vessel or any Silver Edge to deal with this DK, and essentially he walked over the draft of PZR. He went mid, he won his lane, and he just popped off. I think similar to the Meritot Lincoln versus Sabers game, the PA just had to go Battle Fury for damage and stats and as a farming tool. And depending on the pressure that was shown by Kobolds, I think PZR could have won if the PA had an extra surgeons of the farm for him to just fight, because they had 4 wave clearing type heroes on PZR so that they can stall the game for a late game scenario where the PA could potentially have some damage going into this Dragon Knight and kill everyone essentially. Next series we have Pool Lizard Boys versus Sol Invictus. I think game 1 could have went in favor of Pool Lizard Boys. They had the advantage from 20 to 30 minutes and they weren't actually able to capitalize on this advantage. And it slowly went into the realm of Faceless Void Magnus. Really good job from the mid Magnus coming from Sol Invictus from No Band. I believe plays mid if I'm not mistaken. But from 28 minutes to 33 to 34 minutes, Pool Lizard Boys constantly kept getting 5-man wiped. I think they lost 5 heroes 3 times in that small duration, and that essentially cost them their entire lead and made this Huskar's advantage go away. He had 0 impact. Huskar in this patch currently is really weak as well, but who knows, the next patch maybe he's gonna be strong. We will never know. Game 2, I was actually watching this game where Mad Max had a very good start on his Enchantress, but as the game went to late game around 30 minutes, I think PLB kept losing their advantage when it comes to late game scenarios. I think if they improve that aspect of securing the late game with some kind of different strategization or something like that, I think they are a really strong team. And I think if they pick more early game centric drafts, they might have a much more easier time executing and winning the games. I think MVP for this game, I want to give it to Goatson. I think he did a really good job on game 1 and 2. He kept on really key targets like the Sven, who didn't have a BKB, and just kept punishing him, and he was unable to hit any heroes. The series we have is Wasted.Y versus TBD. Game 1, it was pretty much a one-sided showdown. The TBD lineup, they went for the Omni Anti-Mage, and giving Harbinger as Anti-Mage is pretty much saying that we really don't want to win. They went for this Omni Knight Anti-Mage early on first phase pick, which was a very nice pick coming from TBD. And I'm not pretty sure Wasted.Y did not expect it. They probably were thinking we can ban the Anti-Mage in second phase so that he doesn't get his comfort hero and stuff like that. Even with the Anti-Mage on the side of TBD, Wasted.Y unfortunately lost most of their lanes in game 1, which did not really aid them in getting any advantage, and this Anti-Mage was way too strong and he was able to end the game. Game 2 though, Wasted.Y came with some fire. They removed the Omni Knight. They were like, we're done with this, and they grabbed the Magnus Phantom Assassin. They went for the combo, and Phantom Assassin actually went for a Battle Fury and was able to get that 17-minute desert timing. Nice tags were also made for the Phantom Assassin with that pause 5 Magnus, who had some really good plays and nice RPs, trapping this Life Stealer, which was picked by TBD. Also, TBD picked a Huskar. I really don't like this hero. I'm not sure why they did it, but I don't think he is that strong. In this patch especially, it might change. A lot of people have been saying Huskar is going to be buffed. I want him to be buffed because I hate that hero. I don't like him, so I'm not sure what's going to happen. But very good job from both teams. It was a 1-1 series. Last game of the week 1 was PSGS versus Helmets On. Game 1, very interesting picks coming from Helpens On by sending Queen of Pain offlane and picking mid lane Lone Druid. Not exactly sure why they dodged laning Queen of Pain versus Wind Ranger, but Wind Ranger absolutely destroyed the Lone Druid mid and went into a snowball mode with the Spectre as well, so their late game was secured. It was a very interesting build, but it is an understandable build coming from Wind Ranger. Went for a Mjolnir, which was made in 15 minutes, so really good timing on that Mjolnir. And essentially after that, Phantom Lancer, he did not have any game. The Mjolnir was just way too strong and the illusions kept disappearing. And game 2, similar kind of situation in Helmets On where they pick really greedy mids. I'm not sure if that's a preference from the mid laner of Helmets On, but they picked the Arc Warden, and unfortunately Arc Warden did not have any space. PSGS constantly kept punishing this pick by going super aggressive in your face lineup with Slark, Viper, and Mirana, constantly using the Midnight or Moonlight Shadow and hunting any hero in the jungle and forcing this Arc Warden to essentially not have any farm. Helmets On did answer this in the draft by picking a Monkey King and an Axe, but unfortunately those two heroes lost their lane, and I don't think that Monkey King is a really strong hero currently. I think he needs two other heroes who can also contribute with him in these fighting to create that snowball lineup. I don't think you can go for a 4 protect 1 essentially with the Monkey King unless you absolutely dominate your lane and you are at least an item ahead of the other safe laner and you constantly keep fighting with your team. That's all for week 1 Contenders content. Now let's go into week 2 content of Contenders. A lot of one-sided games in week 2. There are a lot of 2-0 games. First series in week 2 was RT versus TBD, which won 0-2 in favor of TBD. Game 1 was very close. Game 1 was a very close game, and I think the only reason RT lost was due to no BKB on the Sven. I think he was getting bursted and kited by this Slaughter Oracle. I think BKB was needed. I know why he went MKB, because he needed MKB for the Phantom Assassin, but I think he should have delegated that duty of dealing with this Phantom Assassin to someone else on the team and go for that BKB, or just skip the Ags and then go MKB BKB if MKB was really needed on the hero. But unfortunately he got super kited. The Sven didn't have any game possible for him and he lost the game. Also TBD went for the Slaughter IO combo, which is just way too strong. The overcharge makes this Slaughter hit so fast early on. And game 2, TBD bring back their secret weapon of Omni Knight Anti-Mage, which I think teams need to start respecting. I think Omni Knight is something like comfort hero for TBD. That a lot of teams, I mean, it is still the group stages, every team is going to make it to playoffs, but the patch is going to change. And people are saying Omni Knight is going to get nerfed. But I think he's in a fine place. That is the hero. I don't know how you will nerf him. And if you do any rework to him, I feel like it's going to be a completely new type of hero. Or the hero is just going to be pure trash at that point. The next series is Riders of Rohan versus PSGS. One more 0-2 in favor of PSGS. Game 1, RRR got countered in draft with a last pick DK into an OD. Not sure what else I can say about game 1. It was pretty much a stomp coming from PSGS. They were really good at disengaging any of these fights. This Ursa was not able to fight at all, and essentially Sven got super big and they just steamrolled the side of Riders of Rohan game 1. Game 2 though was action packed of PSGS giving a smackdown to Riders of Rohan by winning all lanes essentially. They have like strong lane combos with their supports, and once they have the scent of they having advantage, PSGS looks like they like to punish the teams by going super aggressive into their jungle, into their triangle, and also really good ward coverage coming from the PSGS supports as well. Next series is Pool Lizard Boys versus Helmets On. I was actually kind of surprised that Pool Lizard Boys actually lost to Helmets On. I did not think Helmets On were really that strong of a team to take out Pool Lizard Boys, especially in a 2-0 fashion. Game 1, I think Drow didn't have any space to farm, and there was just 3 cores trying to farm on the side of PLB, and they were just getting constantly picked off in the jungle. We did get to see a new side of the mid lane, mid player on Helmets On. He played more of a active mid laners, which definitely made me feel much more better compared to the week 1 performance that he provided with those greedy ones. I think he should be sticking with these aggressive ones, where he was doing a lot more work for his team and creating a lot more space for a safe laner. and both games they got the advantage and they took it. I think game two it was more of a throw coming from Pool Lizard Boys. At 42 minutes, they lost a really big team fight, which made this Juggernaut come back into the game. I think he got a ultra or triple kill in that fight, and it just brought him back into the game. I think if PLB tried to fix anything, I think if they fix their late game, they have the potential to be a really strong game. But it is still week 2 of the group stage, and a lot of people are calling Pool Lizard Boys as a sleeper team. So I am really excited to see what they will be giving, what vibe they will be giving after the patch into the playoffs as well. The next series, probably one of the longest series that happened in week 2, was the Sabers versus FOTP. Both games over 1 hour. Game 1, there was a 60k net worth on this Draw Ranger from the Sabers. I think personally with the Draw Ranger lineup, I think Sabers could have ended the game 1 much more early. I think they just didn't push at the right time by taking the Roshan. I feel like they got a bit more passive, and I think they did not realize their strength. But great job coming from Red Seal, clearing waves and creating pressure around the map on his void spread, and just splitting up the team of Sabers well. And they constantly got their course picked off game 1. I think that was the main reason why they couldn't go high ground. Sanking was constantly dying and stuff like that. Game 2, I think it was some sort of fatigue coming into both the teams. There were mistakes happening all over the place, questionable team fights, and I'm not sure, I don't really agree with this Night Stalker's build that much. He went for a Skull Basher into BKB into a Halberd. I think he should have swapped it, Halberd, BKB, Skull Basher, and I think they would have had a much more easier answer against this Ursa and Troll, and they could have ended the game too. But the tower damage was way too strong coming from this Troll who was being played from mid, and FOTP won the game. I think MVP for this game, which I think I can clearly say is definitely Red Seal. He did a good job game 1 on his Void Spirit, even though they lost, and even better job on game 2 on his Troll Warlord as well. Next series we have WSS Cobalt versus Soul Invictus. It had been 1-1, no surprise. Two of the strongest teams I think currently in Contenders division, which most people are thinking. Both teams were very evenly matched. Definitely an enjoyable series. Hopefully it got casted. I'm not sure. I went and watched the game. It was really well played. Really close game 1. It was anyone's game. I think game 1 it was honestly on the Spectre. It went in the late game, going into Spectre area, and Spectre was able to bring the game home for the Cobalts. But unfortunately, game 2, the Naga Siren did not really do it for them. I don't think it was the right pick. They really didn't have any other choice to go, I think so, and they went into this Naga. And the Klinks was able to just pop off from the safe lane. Way pressure coming from him. And he just took over the game, not giving any time for this Naga Siren to farm. I think that's the difference between the farming style of a Naga versus Spectre. Also against the Terrorblade, I think Naga just needs way more time. It's like a Phantom Lancer who needs to constantly keep farming, and then at like 25 to 30 minutes comes really big and ends the game kind of scenario, which Kobolds weren't able to bring to. I was actually kind of surprised to see DK actually win against the OD. I mean, it's not completely impossible. It is possible if the OD misplace a bit with the orbs and stuff like that, or with this with the imprisonment and stuff. But it was interesting to see that DK actually won from the side of Kobolds against the OD. Last series, it is against Wasted Youth versus Go 5, which went 2-0 in favor of Wasted Youth. I think the MVP of this game is Lava from Wasted Youth. He just went off game 1 and game 2. He was creating so much space. Game 2, he actually lost his lane, but had such a big impact in the game by creating constant space for his mid and safe lane. It was distracting and killing and bringing so many resources from Ghost 5 to different lanes to address the hero that Lava was playing, the Sanking and Centaur. Was just really good. They were playing such a good 3 protect 2 kind of scenario where the support duo and the Sanking game 1 were just going off and killing people. After two big team wipes coming from Wasted Youth, there was essentially no more ground left for Go5. It was fully taken over by Wasted Youth, and they just took that advantage and ended the game. Also, game 5, I'm not sure what really happened. I think Kunkka was sacrificing his farm for his course or something, but he essentially did not have any item made after the axe. He had an axe, and after 25 minutes, he had the BKB. And unfortunately for them, they didn't essentially have any farm left. The Sang King was doing such a good job of demanding the rotations coming, and they were able to win game 1. Game 2, Go5 tried out mid Visage, which I think has potential. But I'm not sure if it was the right pick. They were doing really good. They won most of their lanes, and they were trying to push in, but they weren't able to push in against the German Sparkle Party Arc Warden, who was just standing as a big huge wall against Dill Juggernaut and wasn't able to concede any of the towers. And they bought enough time while Go5 were constantly trying to go high ground, were not able to go and died a couple of times, and the Arc Warden was finally online and they were able to go ahead and end the game. Such a back and forth tug of war. Game 2 was definitely more close between both teams, unlike game 1 where it was more of a stomp coming from Wasted Youth. But Wasted Youth were able to win both games and close the series. I do apologize for cramming so many weeks into one video. It is a long video, which I really don't like to do, but next time I will. Next week it's gonna be easier because it's gonna be only 1 week. There will be much more analysis. This was more of last second because Jojo was asking for Contenders content, so I essentially made this in 1 day, doing the analysis, watching most of the games here and there. But hopefully you guys like it so far. If you do like it, please hit that subscribe and like button to show support towards the channel. We will appreciate it greatly. But now, but not least, let's go into week 3 predictions. I'm gonna go over them quite quickly. I don't want to spend way too much time. I think we're already over that 15-minute mark, which I like to stop my videos at. But I think game 1, Petting Zoo Rejects versus FOTP. I think it's gonna go 1-1. Unless PZR tried to go for some kind of early push draft like Drought Strat or something. It's kind of going to be hard predicting most of these games because we're not sure what the patch is going to do, and I think some teams are actually playing some of their games after the patch. But I don't think anyone is playing on the Wednesday or today, on the recording day of Wednesday, where they were thinking of playing the games. I think most of them moved it to Friday. I think Sabers moved it to Friday, I'm not sure. I think they mentioned it. It's definitely not because of the patch. I think it's because their players were not able to play or something like that. Game 2, the result Odin Thinkers versus Riders of Rohan. I think it's also going to be 1-1 game. I think both teams are very equally matched. It really depends on how the mid lane goes. If Log Lady is able to get a good start, I think they should be able to run away with it 2-0. But I think it's safe to say it's going to be 1-1. Next game, Wasted Youth versus Soul Invictus. I'm kind of curious to see this game. We already know the top 2 are probably Soul Invictus and WSS Cobalt, but if Wasted Youth are able to get a 1-1, I think it's safe to say there's like these 4 top teams that are just there standing their ground up there. But we should still see as the week go ahead. I think we'll be getting a 2-week break because of Christmas soon. So hopefully everyone is staying safe and are having happy holidays. Next game, WSS Cobalt versus TBD. I think WSS Cobalt are a really good team who handle safe lane heroes not getting farmed, which means essentially stopping Harbinger from farming. And I think if they are able to do that, they should be able to win. I think a lot of the games that TBD are playing are dependent on the way Harbinger plays. And I think if you ban out most of his heroes like the Omni Knight, Anti-Mage, I'm not sure if they will be doing that after the patch as well. But if you're able to take those heroes away, I think TBD will have a hard time playing. And I think the tempo and the discipline will be there from WSS Cobalt to run away with a 2-0 victory here. Warzone-based Sabers versus Helmets On. I kept it as 2-0. I think the Sabers are finally finding their groove. Week 1 was a bit shaky. Week 2 was shaky as well. But I think they're finally in the groove. I think Reaper Was a bit lost week 1 and 2, but I think he's finally back. So I think it's gonna be 2-0. Depends on the mid. A lot from helmets on. The both safe lane and off laner have been having a consistent performance, but the mid laner of helmets on has been having a somewhat off a on and off kind of performance, which is unfortunately the key component for helmets on to winning their games as well. Next we have Meritai Lincoln versus Pool Lizard Boys. I think this will be going 1-1. I think both teams are very evenly matched, and I think they will play. I think I favor Meritai Lincoln much more. I think they are a stronger team and they like to pressure early on. But Pool Lizard Boys are also really good at playing early games, so this is gonna be a really good skirmishy game. Yeah, that's all for week 3 predictions. Hopefully I didn't mean to flame anyone during the content. I don't try to do that, but if it's actually happened in the video, I am sorry for that. I'm here to bring it with absolute zero bias. That's why I didn't even mention my team in these videos. We won't be doing ranking, sadly. I think I will be doing after week 3. I think I need a bit more information to place these teams, because of how the Swiss tournament structure goes. It's kind of hard to say which team is better than the other yet, but we will get the ranking for week 4, so stay tuned. Happy holidays, and that's all for today. Daddy Odin out.